Hi, and welcome back to another episode of The Table Read with me, jjbarnes. Here on YouTube, I am doing the Table Read video series where I am talking about all things to do with writing, creative writing, writing films, books, TV, the life and existence of being a writer. The goal is to try and inspire you and give you the confidence to get your story out into the world. You can also go to thetable.read.co.uk where there is articles and interviews, there's original creative writing, there's all sorts of things from different writers, different voices from all over the world, all who are completely passionate about stories, writing, filmmaking, poetry, just everything. It's a really wonderful and creative place, so do check it out. I would really be grateful to you. So today I'm going to be asking you, who are you writing for? Because the way you answer this, it really will affect what you do and it will affect the choices you make. For instance, are you writing for yourself? Because if the only reason you're writing your story is for yourself, you've got a lot more freedom, I would suggest, because you can be as self-indulgent as you want. And by self-indulgent, I mean really just obsess over something that kind of to the wider world doesn't seem that interesting or important, but to you, absolutely fascinating. So for instance, you might be particularly keen on, say, trains or stamps, right? And you're writing a story and it's a normal story and stuff's going on, but you give one character in your story a complete obsession with trains or stamps, and you can dedicate page after page after page after page to that character talking at length about trains or stamps. And it doesn't necessarily contribute to the plot. I mean, you could call it character development and characterization, but it's not really accomplishing anything other than being an opportunity to write at length about a subject you're passionate about. And if you are just writing for yourself and you don't really care if anyone ever sees it, and you might give it to a couple of mates, but you're not really actually bothered about success with your writing, as in commercial success, then crack on. Give as many pages as you want to your character obsessing about the thing that you, your writer, are passionate about. If you're writing for other people, this is when it changes, because if you choose to do that, you are going to lose people, because pages and pages and pages of conversation about trains or stamps is, unless you are writing a train or stamp novel where that is really key to the plot. If you are just writing a normal story and you just take time out of that story to go on at length about a subject, people won't care and you'll lose them. It's not plot relevant, it's like a side adventure, it's just an opportunity to ramble about something. If you are writing for other people, then your main job is to be an entertainer. People are coming to you for entertainment. They might come to you for fear, pain, self-analysis, all sorts of things as well, which we can get from our stories all the time. But really, you pick up a book to be entertained. And if you're stopping entertaining them, taking time away from your plot to go on at length about stamps, you're just not doing that job. So if you want to write just for yourself, self-indulgent, absolutely, completely, just go at it. But if you are trying to write for other people, to sell books, to find an audience, to reach people who are not just you, you're going to have to accept that self-indulgent nonsense is not the way to do it. Start a blog about stamps or trains. Keep your story focused on your story. Now, once you've decided that you're writing for somebody else, you have to actually zero in on who that person is. Who is your key audience? What is your demographic? For instance, if you are writing YA, that means you are writing for teens, okay? You will need to be careful about what content you include. You cannot be throwing F-bombs and all sorts of things all through it, because if teenagers might love it, but if their parents find out, probably not going to love it, and they'll just not buy any more of their books for you, and they'll leave you a list of trash reviews. That's not fun. Okay? You can't put too much sex. You can have them have sex. Teenagers have sex, but you don't want to be going graphic. That is not right for that audience. And also research a bit. What's popular with teens? Urban fantasy is always popular with teenagers. They like to escape a bit of reality. They like to see kids on adventures. They like children to be growing in a world that is scary and dangerous to them, because essentially that's what being a teenager is. Entering adult life is scary and it can be dangerous, and you're thrown into situations that are unfamiliar. You're having to go out alone in the world. You're having to get a job. You're expected to function as an adult when just yesterday you were expected to function as a child. And that can be incredibly discombobulating and frightening. So when you watch a teenager exploring a brand new world, something that is dangerous and discombobulating and is unfamiliar to them, as a teenager, that gives you something to hook onto. That gives you the opportunity to live out your fear through that character, and the confidence and bravery that you need, because they do it, the characters do it. So try looking into that. Look at ways you can give teenage characters the opportunity to face a scary new world and overcome it. If you are writing women's fiction, chick lit if you like, and some people hate that term. I don't hate that term. I'm very sort of just like chick lit, women's fiction, whatever you want to call it, doesn't matter. As long as you know what you're looking for and you find something you enjoy, crack on, right? If you're writing women's fiction, then you are going to write something a bit different to if you're writing men's fiction. Doesn't mean men can't enjoy women's stories, doesn't mean women can't enjoy men's stories. But if you're looking at the target demographic, there is going to be a difference. Women's stories, the women talk a lot more, for one thing. It'll be much more female focused. It'll be much more about the relationships that women have with one another and the quest for love or success. It will be much more focused on the human relationships and, yeah, the women. Men's fiction, if your target demographic is likely to be men, it is going to be much more focused on the action and the movement and the plot, because men traditionally, and I know I'm being so gender stereotypical right now, and I don't mean to, but I'm just talking demographics, so forgive me. Men's fiction tends to be a lot more about, movement. What are they doing? You don't spend as much time talking about your feelings. Now, as I say, none of this means that adults can't enjoy teenage books, or that men can't enjoy women's books, or women can't enjoy men's books. Really, I'm a big believer that it shouldn't matter what your sex is. Read whatever the hell you want. Different subject. I'm just talking about marketing your book. So, as I say, forgive me. Right, then if you are writing, say, a romantic comedy, your target demographic is people who enjoy a love story, right? Either sex. I'm just going to keep saying this because otherwise I feel like I'm going to get into trouble, right? Love story people are not necessarily going to want to have an alien invasion where a bunch of people get blown up and blood gets splattered over the walls, right? If you are writing a horror story and you send them on a nice romantic beach getaway where nothing scary happens, but the characters might enjoy it and it'll do a bit for the development of the characters, your target demographic of horror story lovers are not going to enjoy it. And this all comes back to being an entertainer. Your job as the writer of books is to entertain. So if the thing you are doing is not going to entertain the people you are trying to entertain, don't do it. So really focus on this. Who is your audience? Who are you writing for? Research the popular books for that demographic. What are they enjoying? Read them. Read the popular books. If you want to write an urban fantasy for 15-year-olds, which I have done, get familiar with what popular 15-year-old urban fantasy books are like. Get familiar with them. Don't copy them. Completely do your own story. Just stick to your guns on your own story. But see what works in them. See what's included. Figure out what is being drawn to them. Like, what do people respond to about that story? And use that as inspiration for your own. If you love a genre so much that you want to write for people who love that genre, get familiar with what is already successful in it. Because otherwise, what are you doing? You want people to enjoy your book, right? You want people to show up and have a good time and want to buy more of them. And if you don't bother taking that into account, thinking about them and what it is they want and what they're looking for in their stories, what are you doing? Then you are just writing for yourself and thinking maybe somebody else might enjoy it, which is fine if you are honest with yourself. Be careful about what your demographic is. Work out who you're writing for. Work out what they respond to. Now, if you want to do like a crossover thing and you want to do like a romantic comedy horror, sure, there's going to be an audience for that too. There's audiences for literally anything. But you want to market it to that. You want to be obvious with it, clear with it. Who are you selling this book to? Why are you selling it to them? What about it works for that genre lover? And just focus on that and write to that. That is my advice about working out who you are writing for. I hope this has been helpful. If you disagree with me completely entirely and think you should only ever write for yourself, because that way you're being, I don't know, honest and truthful and blah, 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 right? Tell me. I mean, don't get me wrong, I think you should love what you write. I don't think you should write something you don't enjoy. But my job is for other people. I'm not only writing for myself. I'm writing because I want other people to love what I do, and they won't if I don't take them into account and I don't consider them. They are as much a part of your story as the characters are, the audience. They're the ones you're communicating with. So think about them when you're doing it. Thank you. You can subscribe to this channel. I put out videos every week, and go to thetableread.co.uk. Over there you will find, as I say, all kinds of wonderful things, and I'll be back again soon. Bye.